Welcome everyone to the Jason and Osi podcast. We are on Zoom, as you can see, because Simon didn't want to come into the office, Osi. So we're doing this for Simon. It isn't even for us. So anybody that has complaints, send emails to simon.org.com. It's all on him. And
six boosters.
The man has six boosters,
still won't come
17 flu shots. And he had an epidural the other day. So he's just so I don't know what's going on. We're doing these interviews with a lot of artists, Mixtape Madness, right? And we interviewed Gets, and we've been listening to his music, and I think he's phenomenal.
He's dope. You know what I didn't know? I didn't know how big he was. Like, I'm not gonna front like I knew how massive he was. Yeah. And then I was out playing football, and a guy, this is crazy, a guy who I usually play football with came up to me. He was like, I saw you guys on the Mixtape Madness the other day. You guys were doing Crep and Conan.
Yep, I love
That's
that
what he was talking about. Yeah. He was like, yeah, you guys were doing Crep and Conan. And I was like, really? You saw that? He was like, yeah. I was like, where'd you see that? He was like, oh, he was online. And it just popped up. And he was like, yeah, it was such a dope interview. And I was like, yeah. And this was literally the day we were coming from Gets. So I was like, yeah, we just did this guy named Gets. He was like, Gets? You did Gets? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, he is massive. I said, oh man, I didn't know how big he was. I was like, so explain to me how big he is in the UK. He was like, okay, imagine how 50 Cent was in America. I was like, really? He was like, yes. He was like, he is that massive out here. I said, wow, all right. Shout out to Gets then.
Shout out to Gets. Do you think, it's interesting, do you think, I've learned a lot of my interview techniques from you watching you over the years. And the one thing you do well, and I think most great interviewers do well to their interviewees, is listen. Like you're locked in to what's happening then and there. No preconceived notions, ideas, subjects. You're just there.
Yeah.
Do you think kind of having an association with them just a little bit allows you to come in and just let it happen? You know, whatever you're going to get out of that interview. Yeah.
I'd prefer not to know too much about the person that I want to interview, because I want to learn about the person, right? And I want the people who are listening to learn more about the person. So I don't want to come in biased. I don't want to come in with, thinking about this person in one way. I want him to explain, or I want them to explain themselves to me as if I don't know who they are at all. So I think the best way to do that is to go in without really knowing a whole bunch of things about that person. And I found that when you do that, you learn so much more, and you give them the ability to really speak about themselves so much more. And I just find that the best way of doing things.
I think you're right. I mean, I know you're right, but the reason why you asked a question, and I'm not going to give it away, but it was you said, I'm sorry for asking you this basic question. I'll just say it was about making a good album, right?
Rapping, like how do you become a better rapper?
How do you become a better rapper?
Yeah.
And his explanation of that was outstanding.
Crazy was that? Yeah.
But no one wants to ask it because it seems like the interviewer has no knowledge. They don't want to be perceived as not knowing what's up. But if you're trying to deliver something to an audience, you need to be a vessel.
Yep.
You need to ask those questions in a relatively engaging manner, right? Into a conversational manner. And I just think this is the same thing we've tried to do out here with the NFL is we know the answers to these questions, but we ask ourselves questions all the time that we know or we think we know, but then you might say something about the game. I'm like, I didn't think about it like that, because we're trying to break it down to its core. So that's fascinating. I think a lot of people are so worried about how they're perceived that they don't have proper conversations because they won't ask questions because they're worried about how they look.
Nah, that's craziness to me, man. I genuinely want to know. Like, I actually want to know. Like, I know how to rush the passer, right? I know how to put together, like I know how to put together a touchscreen, like I know how to do all of that type of stuff, right? But this guy is an outstanding rapper. And I've never once asked myself, it can't be as easy as just, oh, I'm just gonna go write raps down and then just keep on saying it can't be that easy. So explain to me how, if you wanted to become a better rapper, explain to me how you would do that. And he went into cadence, he went into everything about how you become a better rapper. Now, how could I possibly have known that if I didn't ask him those questions? There's just no way.
And there were so many similarities to what he did to what we have to do. And sports, media, entertainment, like the way we have to go about our business, the structure and his approach. As soon as he was talking, we looked at each other like, wow, unbelievable, next level. He did say something that was really fascinating. And I tapped you when he said it. And it's easy when people around you, it's not easy. It's hard to trust yourself. It's hard to trust that you're doing the right thing. Some of the best advice you've ever given me is, J Bell, trust yourself. Do this, trust it. Don't worry, let's just do this. Let's just trust what we're doing, And a lot of things that we've done and pursued are when people thought we were going in the wrong direction, we just were like, hey, we're just trusting ourselves because we think this is what we should do. He said the same thing about how music lasts. Because you asked him specifically, how do you become an artist with longevity in a time where, they're just making what's popular, right? It's like anything. Let me do what's hot. I don't have to think about it. But how do you have longevity? And he said, trusting himself. And the people that have lasted, you can tell that they've all trusted themselves. And I tapped you and just looked at you because you've been saying the same thing.
Yep. It's crazy how that works, man. But it's just the way life is. You know what I mean? Like, and I keep on saying this, and people always look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but I'm like, the world is like, it's almost like a math equation, right? I believe I've said this to you before. It's almost like a math equation. You can, if you can see like the little patterns, I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. So for the past, I'll say month or so, right? I've been doing something that is counterintuitive. I take ice cold showers, ice cold, right? Now, every morning, right, after I do my workout, before I because it's cold outside. So as soon as I turn the shower on, it's like I'm sitting over there looking, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm about to do this, right? I don't know how I'm about to do this. And I go in there, and for those 5 minutes, I am in literal hell for those 5 minutes. It's because the water is so cold, Jason, right? And it's so cold, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out. But then your body adjusts, right? And you get out of the shower, and Jason, you feel incredible. I'm talking about incredible. You're awake, you're alive. You feel like everything in your body, like fire.
Blood is rushing.
Oh my goodness, it's fine. It's an incredible feeling. But the thing is, in order to get that feeling, you have to go through the 5 minutes of hell in that shower every single morning, right? Otherwise, you can't get that feeling, right? So it's almost as if in order to achieve anything, you got to sacrifice. You got to go through like, real pain. But are you willing to do that? And this is what so many people aren't willing to do, right? So when I say it's like an equation, it's like in order to get here, you have to go through this, but you don't want to do this. And every morning, Jason, I know the feeling that I'm going to get after I take that shower. I know it.
Right.
I know that feeling, but I still like, I can't believe I got to do this to get that. It's crazy.
I mean, I talk to, when you talk to young people about sports and they ask, Osi, how did you do it? How did you get there and all that kind of stuff? Because young people they want to know how to achieve that success. the thing I always tell them, because I always remember, and I almost feel bad when I say it. I said, look around the room. If you're not different, you're not the one. And I feel so bad because you're not trying to be different when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're trying to fit in, right?
Yeah.
And I realized as much as I tried to fit in, where I was different is what I was willing to sacrifice. And I didn't even think I didn't think I was really sacrificing, because to your point about taking those cold showers, is you knew what the outcome of that sacrifice was going to be.
Yep.
You weren't in it for the pain, just for the pain, right? You understood.
Yep.
You understood. But a lot of people want the end result, but they can't take that step of sacrifice. And I'm like, if you don't have that in you, you have to question yourself, and do you really want this?
Yep.
And I think a lot of problems that people have and issues they have with other people is it's really that conversation they're having between their ears, where they realize they're not willing to do what it takes. So it's easier to be upset and complain and be angry.
Yep.
Because it's just hard. It's just tough.
Hard.
It's just so difficult. But it's, but when you talk to people that do all kind of different things in life, whatever it is, people have success on all kind of levels. I mean, you understand we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to get the results that we want, but it comes with sacrifice. It comes from trusting ourselves. It comes from all kind of things, just simple things that we truly control.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Like, you're really in control.
You're really in control.
You really are. It's crazy.
But I think that sense of control is what's frustrating. I think when we don't have control, we can blame it on somebody else or point the finger. We can just dust our hands with it, right? We no longer have responsibility.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I started. And I was like, it's like an equation. It's like you input this, and this is the outcome. It literally really is, for the most part, that simple. It literally is, for the most part. It literally is. It's just so difficult, but it's that simple.
It really is. I mean, I wasn't trying to segue this into football at all, but it just brings me to a point of where we are. And we always talk about the conversations we have about football, and especially this part of the season, where there might be parity in the NFL. The NFL has done a great job with getting the talent parity, but there's no parity in coaching, right? We talked about that. And when you think about football, you always say it's a chess match, and it is. But I've never played poker before, but I know in poker, it's all about kind of holding your stomach, right? Having the poker face, like not giving away, how are you in control of your emotions? Because they're trying to look for those keys, right? And I think I see that within teams and how they're playing and how they're behaving, and coaches I've had, like those that are in control of their emotions at this time of the year, their team tends to respond better. Teams tend to respond better, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of coaches, right? Speaking of coaches, I heard something yesterday it wasn't yesterday, it was 2 days ago, right? And it was almost like a revelation when I heard it.
Okay.
It was Rex Ryan. He was talking about Urban Meyer, right?
Oh, okay.
And he was saying that he had a conversation with Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer was talking about something else, and Urban Meyer didn't listen. He was like, Urban, you're gonna get out coached, right? This is what he said to Urban. He was like, yeah, you're gonna get out coached, right? And he was like, that's exactly what happened, right?
Right.
And then when he said that, I started to think about him saying you're gonna get out coached, right? And it was almost like, it almost hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, you know what's so crazy? Because I'd never really thought about this. The same way, right? There's, in terms of like players, there's Aaron Donald and there's other defensive tackles, right? And then there's like JJ Watt and TJ Watt and Myles Garrett You know, there's coaches, there's coaches like that.
There's coaches like that. Yeah.
There's coaches like that. There's literal coaches that are so good. They're so much better than other coaches within the NFL.
Yeah. Oh.
It was strange for me to think about coaches the same way I think about players.
Yeah.
Right? I'd never thought of it like that before. I'd never once thought that there was, because we say, Bill Belichick is the best coach, but I'd never thought of him in terms of talent. This guy, right? I'd never thought of him in terms of talents. Never. Yeah. But there's talented coaches like that in the league. It's crazy.
Think about it, Osi. And we were talking about this. You're an elite player. You took coaching well. You had good coaches, but next level player. But it was about talent and work ethic that made Osi. You had a player like me, middle of the road, had to play for you. You didn't depend on me to win you 16, 17 games, but I need to get you one. I need to, I can't lose you a game. When you need me, I better show up. And what we were talking about was exactly your point. There are coaches that know how to coach the entire roster. And what I mean by that is they know it's easy to coach you and make everything Osi centric because you are the player. You're the dude. We're going to do it this way because this is Osi. But if you really are a great coach, you coach everybody differently because you know everybody's skill set. And you know what that is, Osi? Back to what you talked about the interview. Do you really want to understand? Do you really want to learn something? Do you really want to look at this person like they are a whole new individual, and are you willing to engage with them in a way that you get the best out of them? And I think when you talk about some of these coaches, the reason players respond is because these coaches give them things that makes them better players. You can coach me as hard as you want, and I will run into a wall. When you tell me, try this, this will work for you, and it works, because we want to be better. But I'm just to your point, and I've been the guy. There's not that many coaches like that. First of all, they don't have a lot of time. And a lot of them, they're not looking at the bottom half of their roster of players like my job is tied to that. My job is tied to this guy playing well because this is who got drafted high. This is who we paid. This is who is supposed to do well. But you can't win unless your entire roster does well. So you better engage with all of them. And there's no parity in that. I felt it's happened to me before.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if, you know how sometimes the coaches get up there and they say, yeah, we got outplayed, we got outcoached, and blah, like, I wonder how many times, right, a coach has sat there and he's watched tape, right? And he said to himself, oh, this guy kicked my ass. This coach, not the players, right? I'm not talking about the players. Not, oh, he ran Osi over or he made a move on Jason. No, I mean, the coach is sitting there watching the tape. He's like, oh my goodness, this coach literally out-thunked me. He beat me. He beat me today. How many times do you think that happens?
You know what?
How many times do you think that happens?
Ties into your first point. You know who I think it happens to? The coaches that we talk about, because they last.
Yep.
You only get better if you take that responsibility,
take that chance,
and adjust. We had a coach, and I'm not going to tell you what team, because I don't want to give it away, but he was a D coordinator. And I remember specifically the DB coach, who's a great guy, still coaching, saying, do not argue with this man because he has the pen and the pointer. He can talk circles around what the defense is supposed to be and make sure it was your fault.
Yeah.
Well, you could be like, but this is the defense you called and we did this and I'm here, like, give me the solution. No, but you can do this and you need to do that. And because he was never going to take the blame. He's not, I don't think he's in the NFL.
Yeah, out of there.
So to your point, the ones that take that responsibility and check themselves, they are the ones. It's been many times I've heard you say, not many times, But a couple times where I was very surprised and you'd say, oh, Jay Bell, you know what? This is on me. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even, what do you mean? And you would break it down to where I was like, oh, I see. But I couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
I couldn't even see what you were talking about. I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But you were so engaged with your own perception of yourself and the situation that you were able to evaluate yourself and kind of remove yourself from yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the key, but that's the key to longevity, because you better fix it before somebody else tries to, because when they try to fix it, then you're running out of time.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I enjoyed that.
I did.
Anyway, what else?
What else? Are you trying to get rid of me already? That's the what else?
No. I'm just wondering. I enjoyed that conversation.
I did enjoy that. When we first started this podcast, I used to have, we always used to wing it. I'd have a couple of questions just in case, because I didn't trust myself. But we always just had the conversation that we wanted to have.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, I learned, it's fascinating and it's fun. I enjoy it. So let's get to the questions. Ask Osi, ask Jay Bell. Now, have you noticed, Osi, when we talked about the podcast out of a joke, we named it the Jason and Osi podcast, right? It was purely as a joke because we were just messing around because we thought we'd be canceled in a week. But do you understand it's always ask Osi, ask Jay Bell? Have you noticed that?
Well, it's because you're asking the questions. So it'd be crazy if you were asking the questions as ask Jason and ask Osi. Like you're asking the question. Yeah.
You're right.
Ask Jason, ask Osi.
I thought it was something
Jason.
else.
No, go ahead and ask yourself a question, Jason. Jason.
I thought there was a deeper meaning to this, but
there's no deeper meaning. Just please, you ask the questions, please.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Damn, I thought that was better. So before I get to these, I got glasses because my eyes hurt because I can't see, and I've been looking at my phone, and my head was kind of hurting. I'm like, nah, not again. The prescription, not again. Let me tell you how dumb I am.
Okay.
I had the font so high on my phone because when I didn't wear my glasses, I had to see it. So with the glasses on, it was straining my eyes because the font looked like I was 95 years old with the big boy font. So I just had to make the font like on your phone, smaller.
Oh, you see, the thing is, Jason, like my vision is so perfect. I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't even understand fonts and what is all that?
I got
you're trying to,
I don't even understand what fonts
you're talking about. Yeah, my vision is I've never even heard these terms that you're throwing.
Have you ever looked at your phone and like adjusted anything?
No, it's just boom.
It's standard.
Boom. However it comes, I can see it clearly.
I'm sweating again. I'm sweating. This sweater is killing me, bro. Like it's
clear. It's clear. What is that in your back? Oh, National Football League. Oh, Paul Tagliabue. I can see his signature up there on your ball.
Oh my God. He went Paul Tagliabue. Oh, you went old school NFL.
Yeah, that's how you know. That's how you know. That's how you know, man.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's the game ball from. Oh yeah, it's Houston Texans. I can see it clearly. Paul Tagliabue is still commissioner.
It's the Houston. Oh my God! It's the Oilers. It's the Oilers. I'm cramping. See, this is why I keep sweating. Man, I got this heat up in this house too hot. It's getting cold outside. This ain't podcast ready heat. All right. Oh my gosh. All right. Dave W. and Ruthie99, both They both ask Osi, what do the Giants need for Christmas? That team.
Okay. Tell you what they need. They need, first of all, I like their coach, so they don't need a new coach, right?
Ooh.
They don't. They don't need a new coach. Forget that.
I don't know if I believe that.
Nah, Joe Judge is the guy. He's the guy.
This is where I'm not sure. Go ahead. It's your question. It's your question.
He's the guy. They need, I don't even know what they need. Because when you look at the roster, they got some pretty talented football players on the roster, right? I don't know. I can't answer the question. Maybe they need me to go down there and help coach a little bit, man. Maybe I need to go down there and teach them how to pass rush. Maybe that's what they might need. I don't know. I don't know.
That might need.
I don't know. What do you think, Jason? What do you think?
I'm not sold on the coaching staff, Osi. I'm cool with the head coach.
That's what I meant. The head coach.
Yeah, I'm
not sold on the coaching staff either.
But I don't know. I'm not sure about the staff. You know, when I look at it, I don't know who's there challenging the head man. Now, is what I've always seen is people try to do the Belichick way that aren't Belichick, and it's never worked out. Good coaches, quality coaches, try to operate like Bill Belichick, and it just doesn't work. I mean, you know, there's a reason why his formula works for him, because he built it around his skill set and what he can do. And I just don't know. And they've had a lot of time in New England to bring everybody up through the system in a way that everyone knows what they're doing. They knows what they're doing because they've been there so long. I just don't see that in New York. So yeah, you know, it's tough though. You know, it's tough. Bately 12.
Okay, here's why I said I like the head coach, right?
Yes.
Because I believe that a head coach should be a leader of men, right? I think it's not a lot of coaches who are like out there calling the plays and things of that nature. I'm talking about head coaches. Usually you have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and your head coach is the one who puts things together. And he's like he's a leader, right?
He's a CEO,
yeah. And the time I spent in New York with him, he came across that way to me. He really did. Now, the offensive coordinator that they had before, the defense coordinator, he's pretty good. He's good. He's pretty good. Patrick Graham, he's pretty good. But there's no offensive ingenuity there, right? It's just like they're struggling offensively. Defensively, they're playing well. But what they need for Christmas, new offensive coordinator. One of these new shiny little guys. I mean, the shiny little guys. Yeah,
I can roll with that. I can roll with that. We got to that, and I agree with that. I think we were headed the same direction. Bately 12. Why did Harbaugh do it again with a 2-point attempt for the Ravens versus the Packers? You backed him last time, but come on. Well, you're going to find out tonight on our show if we backed him again.
Watch the show. Watch the show. We need that viewer. We need that viewer. We need that extra viewer.
Yeah. So
watch
Come
the
on
show.
in, baby 12. Keontae asked, love for the podcast. Listen every week. Can't wait for my next fix. But there's always a but. There's always a but, Osi. What's better? Christmas in the UK or Christmas in the US?
The best place to have Christmas, 100%, is Nigeria.
I knew you was going to say that.
You've never experienced a Nigerian Christmas.
Tell me about it. Bring us in.
Go. Listen, I got to be completely honest with you. Christmas in Nigeria is incredible. It's just the best, especially for me, right? We would go back to Nigeria and we would go to the village. And I mean, my dad's village. And in my dad's village, my dad is the king of the village. So we had like an actual palace, like a real palace. But we wouldn't stay there. We wouldn't stay there. We would go to my grandmother's house. And my grandmother was living like in a proper, in a village house. and we loved it. We would all go sleep there. We would sleep on the floor, all my cousins, and it's about 100 of us. Yeah. And sleep on the floor, cold, just together, you know what I mean? And we'd wake up and my grandma would be cooking in a big ass wooden pot. She'd be making the food, staring at it, and then we'd wake up, we just start running. We just run around. Just I'm talking about all over the place, just nonstop.
All day.
We wouldn't go to my dad, Jason, we wouldn't go to my dad's palace. I'm talking about a real luxury. We wouldn't go there. Yeah. We had no interest. No interest in being straight up in the village, just running. It was incredible. Incredible.
See, that's what it's all about. And
yeah,
you bring me to my point on this is, ever since I had my daughter, I think I kind of forgot what Christmas really was and what it was about until I had her and watching her experience it. And it's just what you talked about, running around. It made me think about when I was a kid, like what really mattered, being with your family, having a good time. And now, wherever I am, wherever we are, with my daughter, it's just Ireland, is amazing, because for her out there for Christmas, it's like everything Christmas is, and just watching her. So I would have to say over here, because that's where my daughter's been most of the Christmases.
Yeah. Shout out to over here. Shout out to the UK.
Ireland, UK, all that. So yeah. All good. Man, I want some I just had a flashback of you running around your grandma's place. Man,
barefoot.
That's where the pass rush moves came from.
Barefoot, bro. And my dad would be so angry. Like, I spent all this money on shoes and you don't want to put your shoes on. You don't want to put your shoes on. No, Dad. We want to live like we're supposed to. Running around. It was crazy.
I spent all this money on shoes and
all this money on shoes. All this money on fine, because he would import Italian marble, Italian beds, he would import all of that. I spent all this money on this, and you want to sleep on the floor. Yes, Dad. Chill out before I body slam you.
Chill out. You don't want to be next.
You don't want to be next. Oh, man.
Oh, God. We got to end on that, man. Oh, shout out to everyone who put a question. Thank you to all the listeners, man, and everybody who listens, watches our shows. You know how much we appreciate y'all. And I'm over here sweating. I got to change my shirt, man. This is when I got the heat too high in the crib, man. It's no good, man. We are out. The Jason and Osi podcast. Much love to everyone. We'll holler at y'all next week.